Hey, and welcome back. My name's Dan, and I'm an old grumpy gamer. G'day, Jittery. Thanks for joining us as well. Yeah, big day for Grand Theft Auto, big day for Rockstar, and it's dropping 10, 12 hours early or something like that. So someone in the marketing department over there is in a bit of strife, but it's all good fun. So, firstly, yes, it is a little bit nippy over here, Jittery. It is mighty chilly. I did my first park run the other week, and it was 1 degree. It was minus 1 or -2 up here. I want to say Saturday morning. So lovely and clear, but freezing cold. Certainly a little bit different to home in Oz. I think Mrs. Grumpy Gamer's parents were pushing, I think it was 45 degrees Celsius where they are, and Wallaby back in Adelaide as well. I know was pushing high 30s, early 40s. So yeah, brutal. I don't know what Sydney's like, but yeah, wow. So I do have a first reaction coming out a little bit later on today. We're a bit slow off the mark because of time zones. So everyone else has got their commentaries out and all that kind of gear, but we're still sort of a little bit behind the 8 ball. But it's good fun. I thought we'd take a quick look at the trailer, maybe see if there's anything that we've missed or could be picked up, have a bit of a discussion, and kind of see what happens, whether or not we hang around, do a bit of gameplay, see what's going on. Forgive the big box here as well. Too many fans and a lot of background noise in this place, so that means that we have to put a big. We can't have a sound room, so we have to take the sound room kind of with us. But anyway, let's take a look at this trailer again. Forgive the knocking about the place. There we go. Do let me know if you can't hear me or if it all goes horribly sideways. And it has been a minute since I've done some streaming, so, you know, I'll avoid technical difficulties where I can, but no guarantees. Anyway, we shall see what happens. All right, let's start at the start. Well, standard ESRB, so we'll wait for the full rating to come out. But here we go. Turn the sound on. So straight away we have the purple tones and the yellow tones. So not Mexico, but purple and yellow tones that were hinted at in a lot of the leaks, which will be good fun. This is obviously in some form of prison setting. So given the orange jumpsuits, yeah, probably straight up prison rather than juvie, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. Loving the soundtrack so far with this as well, which is always nice. So let's go full screen with that. And why can I not hear that? Let's try that instead. And we'll go to full screen here as well. I'll probably get demonetized for it, but that is all good. Always a good start as well. So that's kind of fun with when you look at the opening scenes of the GTA 5, where you've got the game. It's like, why are you here? Well, I guess I like the weather. But yeah, some interesting setup here. And this is actually what really grabs me here. This is the first scene. It's really bright, but the water effects just absolutely fantastic. And I know Unreal Engine has been brilliant. Is it an old one? Oh, hang on. Hey, Peter. Thanks, Jittery. Hang on, let me update that title. Oh, it is too. How'd that happen? Sorry about that. Whoopsie daisy. There we go. Yeah, dolphins. Hey, Wonky, fantastic. Where for those who don't know, Wonky has been featuring on some of our update videos periodically as well. So really, really good to have you along. We were just talking about the cold and the weather. Actually, you just missed it, Pete. I think you actually beat out all of us where you are. At -6, -7. There's been some really interesting stuff on the Discord popping up and some absolutely stunning photos. So thank you. We're just having a look here, and yep, actually that was a really good spot, Jerry. You got the dolphins down the bottom left there, sort of right down here, and I can't zoom in sadly, but yeah, that's glorious. And I think, is that a shark? I mean, we've got sharks and dolphins in the current game, but that does not necessarily, that looks like a shark. I reckon these ones are dolphins, and I reckon you're the same up here as well. Good to see the name change. The jet skis and the boats look really nice as well. I noticed that before too. So really good rendering. Rockstar use their own internal Rage engine. They have their own custom in-house built engine. So not like the Unreal Engine or Unity or anything like that. They have their own, which means that they don't have to pay royalties on it, but it also means that they can optimize for their specific games rather than having to do a one-size-fits-all kind of caper. So I think what they've done here looks absolutely glorious. And birds, just, yeah, the panning, the birds, the whole box and dice looks fantastic. We can see here this is a very Miami kind of thing with all of the rows and rows and rows of little chairs and the umbrellas. Not quite cabanas, but that's all right. And yeah, station up the top there for lifeguards. But I don't know if you've noticed this as well. If we have a look at some of these birds and the shadowing underneath there, that looks, is that shadows? Just want to make sure I'm not talking out of my backside. Yep, that is shadows. So shadows onto the reflective water too. So pelicans, right? Yeah, nice work. Yep. Yeah, good spot there, Jittery. That's really neat. Nice work. All right, thank you. Oh, well, thank you for joining on both, Pete. Numbers help. Okay, and then the pan up, we've got the got the little doodad up the top there. There's something here. What's that? Chopper. All right, so this is Miami Beach, 100%. If you go back to the old games and whatnot, that looks really neat. G'day, AJ. How we doing, mate? So yeah, I mean, it's, I guess the thing that we kind of cover in my first reaction to this, which is going to come out a little bit later on today, a bit more edited, and Kengo's working on that as we speak, is this CG rendered, or is it in engine, or is it in game footage? Now, when you have openings like this where you've got the cutscenes and whatnot, and we all know the cutscene at the start, it looks absolutely fantastic. But I think with CD Projekt Red, I was burned really hard with that. Like, Cyberpunk looked amazing, and I don't know if anyone recalls that 43 or 44 minute gameplay first look they did. And it turns out that was actually a render that was meant to look like a first look at a game. So they took the devs off of the actual game development to do this render to make it look pretty, to keep the execs happy. And then they added a commentary to it like it was a game. And while Rockstar has not done that yet, or done that before, I should say, they've never done that before. They've always used in-game footage for their trailers. We have seen a bit of, we'll call it interesting, selectively truthful behavior from them recently. We've had a management team change out. They've been acquired by Take-Two. Take-Two also acquired Zynga as well, which is a really, really exploitative gaming company, in my opinion, allegedly. And what I'm hoping is this is in-game footage from the actual game rather than... Sorry, Pete. Yes, I'm sure some of them are modest pelicans, and hello to Jeff if he's watching. My big concern with this is that this is rendered, or pre-rendered or otherwise outwardly acquired footage instead of in-game cutscenes or in-game gaming footage. Yeah, I reckon in-engine is probably not a bad shout there, Pete. It's, I mean, technically the Cyberpunk one was kind of in-engine, and certainly the review footage that they sent out for people to look at was all in-engine. But, like I said, Take-Two have acquired Zynga, Take-Two have acquired Rockstar, Take-Two have really put the screws in about really getting the most out of the user base. And come in, Spinner. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm really concerned about it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it is absolutely in-game footage, maybe a cutscene to start with from what I've seen, and certainly some of the social media stuff. Yeah, maybe that's part of a mini game or something like that. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I've just noticed the chat is not coming up in Windows, so let me see if I can bring that up a touch, and we'll see how we go. No problems. So I don't even know if that is coming up. Where is it? Chat box should be there. That's all right. Just going to adjust the stream settings. Like I said, it's been a minute, guys. I think the last time I did a stream, I always got myself into trouble and had microphone problems, and then started coughing and spluttering and all that kind of gear. So let's see how we go. Disable message animation. All right. Let's see if they start coming up again. But anyway, yes, sorry, completely diverge. yeah, he's hoping it's in engine and it's not pre-rendered, but actual, cutscene stuff. So, I mean, that has to be something like the Rockstar editor at the very least. Geez, that does look crisp and real. I guess the other thing is what kind of juice you're going to need on your machine. Whether my my little 2060 Super on my laptop is going to cut it. We'll see what happens. So this means that we're in the glades at some point. Again, more birds and a really beautifully rendered sunset. I'm noticing the volumetric fog there as well as the parallax, which looks just fantastic. So 15 sky rises. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? There was a lot of verticality in Cyberpunk. There was a lot of the internal stuff fleshed out rather than it being just, an outside render. And I know going from GTA 3, like San Andreas, the original, not definitive because that was rubbish, the San Andreas to 4, where we could go in and out of interiors without loading screens, made a huge difference, and they ended up fleshing out a lot more interiors. And yeah, you're right, Jittery, that does look a lot lot like RDR2. I'm looking at the volumetric fog there, and that just looks absolutely stunning. The parallax is really nice. And the spray behind the boat as well. You'll notice that sort of fading back there. So the spray's being accounted for, not just the fog, which tells me that the water rendering is just going to be spectacular in this one. But yeah, going from 3 to 4, they made a huge leap in being able to do some extra interiors without loading screens. Then from 4 to 5, we had a lot more of the interiors fleshed out. Now they've had 10 years on this one. 6, I suppose, because they would have started this after RDR2. And as a developer, I do business software as development for most of my living. Is business software. So what will happen is when you launch a SaaS, or you launch a piece of software for a business to business to customer, you'll end up branching off 2 teams. You'll have the first team there will continue with the existing product, doing updates, continual improvement, debugging, testing, and generally sort of plugging that, making the whole system better. And then you'll have a second, or half the first team branch off into a second team where they'll start on version 2. And I suspect that's what's happened here. Is once GTA 5 and GTA Online launched, they would have had a core group come off onto RDR2, and then built out the DLCs and whatnot for GTA Online. And then when RDR2 was completed, again, I think 2 devs for debugging and DLC, given the release rate there, but then a whole bunch would have gone on to GTA 6. And that means they've probably been developing this full time for, the best part of 6 years. So I would really hope a lot of the interiors are fleshed out there. But we'll see what happens. It might just be that we have to do mods again. But that said, I mean, they've spent some money on this thing. One would think that they've done the hard work. But anyway, sorry, let's have a look at the next scene. So flamingos. Were they pelicans? Modest pelicans, or were they flamingos? I don't know. But in the glades, that looks great. The colouring is fantastic. Again, volumetric clouds looks really nice. I'm very much enjoying the parallax and the depth of field we're seeing here as well. Again, the reflections are just, water physics do it for me. Like it seems silly, but like, water physics are the absolute make or break on a game's graphics. It doesn't matter how pretty the models are. Doesn't matter how pretty the models are. It doesn't matter how detailed the meshes are. If your water physics looks janky or it looks pants, I'm not interested. And if we go back to the GTA 3 or the San Andreas, the definitive edition, which was about the last time I did a live stream actually. If you recall, the water physics were just rubbish. There was no waves, it was just flat water anywhere, and the rain would just come in front of you in a way that meant the game was completely unplayable when it was raining. But to see this, I think they probably learned some lessons from that one. And again, it's the A team as opposed to, say, to Definitive Edition, which was actually outsourced to Grove Street Games, I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, who are a mobile port provider, and they have not covered themselves in glory. So we'll see. Because this is in-house, because houses were involved for a good portion of it, it should look pretty spot on. But again, I'm concerned about this being a render and not, or even if it's an in-engine render, but not necessarily a in-game feature. Whoops. Let's go back to, oh, come on, where is it? There it is. Okay, so beaches and models again. G'day, Kev. Yes, alligators and the new cougars, and that'll make for interesting stuff with Maddo. Because I've seen how the cougars move. I could not imagine exploding hyper fast flying gators. That would be interesting. But I think there's a couple of things here to notice. Yeah, actually, was it a Take-Two project? You know what, Jitter, you might be right. It would make sense because Rockstar Games tend to do stuff in-house. So, yeah, we'll see. Sorry, Wonky with the modest pelican jokes. That's fantastic. Love it. All right, so there's a couple of things to notice here apart from, the models. We have people doing a couple of different things on the beach. You got people strolling and people laying down and whatnot. And we have different poses which we're not unused to seeing. But hang on. Right, which we're not used to seeing. Lots of people with different poses. I did notice here the Insta model doing the regular twerking, or not Insta, it would be Life Invader, the Life Invader model, doing some poses. And I don't know if anyone's a fan of Aussie Man reviews, but you got to have respect for that cameraman, for that boyfriend with tech skills. But what really stands out here is the sheer number of people on the beach. So if you go to Los Santos at the moment, you head down to Los Santos Beach, on busy days in the summer, it's still pretty sparsely populated. Even the most dense places are pretty sparsely populated. Like going back to the contract there where we have the nightclub, we have 30, 40 NPCs there, but they're all in a very limited space. Whereas here, I haven't sat down and done the numbers yet, but there'd have to be 60 or 70 NPCs on screen here, strewn out over hundreds of meters, all rendering absolutely beautifully. In addition to, aerial vehicles. So we've got 3 there. We've got the bird up the top there and the umbrellas. So there's a lot more detail available on screen. Yeah, and that's my thing. Like with the density of NPCs. If we go back to Watch Dogs, I think it was, where their initial renders and their initial gameplay reveals were rendered on like leading edge $10,000 PCs. And that meant that they could have density, they could have HDR, they can have depth of field all running at the same time. But when the final product came out and it needed to be on Xbox 360, it might have been Xbox One at the time, the hardware wasn't up to it. The hardware simply was not up to it. So instead of just adjusting down for a particular platform, they went with lowest common denominator. Excuse me. Which is fine if you're running older hardware, and there are a lot of people that are running older hardware. They simply have not had the opportunity or can't justify the spend for the amount of time that they spend on it, or simply can't afford it. It's a thing. We're in the middle of a cost of living crisis at the moment as well. So having to dial back for that older hardware may mean, we don't see this kind of density in the world, which would be a shame. But let's work on good faith. Let's pretend that they're doing everything they say they're going to do, and they learnt some lessons from Definitive Edition, and kind of see how we go there. And that's what we were thinking before, Kevin, is that it's like, I'm reasonably confident it's in engine, but is it a render or is it in game? I mean, and if it's a cutscene, you know what? Absolutely here for it, because a pre-rendered cutscene with NPC interaction is great. I'm all for that, but I'd be really disappointed if it's not some form of in-game footage. But we'll see how we go. As I said, good faith. Assuming Rockstar management have got control of this and not Take-Two, we'll see what happens. But the thing that struck me here was the density and the variety of activities as well. So we've got someone over here stretching, a couple of people wandering around, people chatting. You've got your esky down there, people again laying down and chatting. Lots of different poses, lots of diversity in the crowd, which is fantastic to see as well. And Insta guy there. We have a quad there, but that looks like it's in the water, but not very deep in the water. I don't think that's a telltale for an amphibious vehicle, although I don't doubt they'll be in the game. But that's probably just a lifeguard. You've got the old four-wheel drive there, and lots of jet skis, lots of other bits and pieces. But we'll head to the next scene real quick. All right, and we are back at the port of Miami. Now, I was saying in the breakdown before from my initial reaction, again, sorry, that's running a little late, but we'll get there. This looks very, very similar to the one we already have in Los Santos. But ports all over the world look more or less the same, don't they? So I can forgive them for maybe reusing some assets and maybe upgrading some assets. We did see in the leaks as well, there were mechanics that were being implemented in GTA 5 that ended up getting dropped into the testing for GTA 6. Things like the angle grinder, like boring through for the first and last dose. So but you know what? That's okay, because I like the cargo container. What am I talking about? Get your words right. I do like the port missions I had in GTA 5, with the exception of the one where you had to load that flaming container. And certainly, GTA 4, GTA 3 series had some interesting stuff at different ports. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do here. And, are we going to get ourselves finally a drivable cargo container? That would be fun. It would be slow, but things like Truck Simulator, Delivery Simulator, Boat Simulator, Train Simulator has shown that there is absolutely a market for it. Rockstar tend to do everything games. Yeah, could we? Could we end up with one? It'd be nice. It'd be fun. It'd be different. Yeah, 100% cargo machine work. I'm not looking forward to it, but hopefully it'll just be one lesson. One mission, I should say. Good variety in boats again. All super sports, like really fast machines. And again with the volumetric clouds there as well. So they look absolutely spectacular. And I'm liking here, especially where you have got buildings, they are in the background, but they've got that really nice parallax effect there where you've got these three are sort of closer. That one's a bit further back, but the cloud is in fact in between the two. So yeah, really neat. All right. And again, this is, oh, sorry. So I had a look at this before. Firstly, Jester, I reckon. Tell me if I'm wrong. But that looks an awful lot like a Jester. This kind of feels like a coil. And that one looks just one of the standard four-wheel drives. But this particular mechanic here, I think that is Lucia. Same hairstyle, skin tone's about right. We don't see a face, but it would make sense. So, the question is this a new mechanic? As a passenger, are we going to be able to sit up on top of the car and flail our arms about the same way we can when we are a passenger in the roller coaster in GTA 5 and GTA Online? We'll see. I hope so. G'day. Oh, Sandy. Fantastic. So for those of you who don't know, I used to work with Sandy IRL. And yeah, really good to have you along. So yeah, is it a mechanic? Are we going to be able to flail our arms about like you can with the roller coaster in GTA 5 and Online? Like, I'd like to think so. I reckon that'd be a lot of fun. There's good fun to be had there. So again, volumetric clouding up the back. I know I'm banging on about it, but it's a thing and I love it. The lighting, the uplighting on some of these buildings looks absolutely fantastic. And again, great depth of field. So really cool. I'm liking the neon, and they're sticking with the same color scheme we've seen throughout the trailers and some of the leaks as well, sort of that blue through purple. So I know this is probably based on a real life piece of artwork in Miami, but it is nice to see that color scheme sort of being taken through there as well. Really nice design elements. So yeah, I think you might be right there, Kevin. There's been a few others as well. So there is the young lass twerking. All right. So again, skipping forward, so the lowrider scene, which is just fantastic. So that's a Jubilee. Yeah, just beautiful colouring, and the shelters again. I think this is a sign of a bunch of the factions we've seen so far. But it looks clean. It looks really neat. My cars, I am a bit of a car guy, but I'm ashamed to admit there's a few here I don't know. But what is really neat is these ridiculous wheels. So in GTA 5, your wheels will scale to your vehicle. Yeah, wheels will scale to your vehicle. So even if you get big chunky four-wheel drive wheels, if you stick them on an Issy, they're going to be, tiny little things. But here, it is, the wheels have actually jacked right up. So they're 22-inch wheels, and there's clearly been a rim cut there. A wheel well cut and a modification there. So that's kind of the stuff you'd see on Benny's. But the fact that it's jacked purely on wheel radius rather than having to jack them up, yeah, we'll see what happens. But it would be really good that if we can resize resize the wheels to do weird stuff in the next game. But yeah, all right. So next scene. All right. So nightclub. Well, actually, given that this is Make It Rain and we have some young ladies here doing some interesting dance moves with our fella here holding some ones, I would say this is the Exotic Dance Club. It's probably going to be, it's Vanilla Unicorn. that's in GTA 5. Is it going to be the same name? Is it going to be a franchise? Don't know. Sorry about that. So we'll see what happens. But again, lots of volumetric lighting. You can see ray tracing here. We've got, downlight coming from here, and that's reflecting quite well on this young lady. You've got some more ambient lighting there, but what I quite like is the radiant lighting coming from these and the particle effects coming out of the sparklers. So again, hoping this is in-engine cutscene stuff at the very least. But if it's actual gameplay, like you can head into the dance clubs and see this kind of stuff going with that kind of particle effects, here's hoping. But again, as Kevin and Wonky mentioned and Jittery before, it's probably a render. Not a fan of that idea after getting burnt pretty hard with Cyberpunk. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's take a look now. Grill, good tats, really interesting handshake. What I'm liking here, again, is this fella's dreads are rendered really well. Brilliant textures on them. Good depth of field back here again. Not so much in the ambient stuff there, but I'm quite liking the animation for that one. So if we just pop back for a second. Where are you? Yep. So the handshake he's got there is completely new. I've not seen that in anything before at the moment, but yeah, see how we go. Looks like 2020 graphics compared. Well, look, to be fair, it has been rolling since 2017. I reckon they would have started development on this one, and it is a Rage engine, so they would have. It's not being upgraded, like Unity or Unreal. That could also be my absolutely pants bandwidth as well. I might be. Let's just check what setting am I on here. Oh, geez, 480. Rightio. Well, let's go to 1080. There you go. That's slightly better. Sorry, where I am in the south of England, the internet here is just absolutely pantsed. So I get rubbish resolution. It's pretty ordinary. His beard on the right also shows some depth. Yeah, you're right as well. It's really, really crisp. I'm really taken with this fella's his teeth. I don't know if that's a grill or if that's natural teeth, but the ray tracing on that is absolutely glorious. The texturing on his singlet is fantastic, and the tattoos look just brilliant. So, but again, it's the dreads, the beard, the hair textures seem to be absolutely spot on. You can see a little bit of acne scarring here, which, while it was in previous versions, it looks like a texture over the top of the skin, whereas this looks, because you've got the sun sort of coming in off the back there, this looks like pitted skin, like someone who had an acne problem when they were a kid and actually has scarring on their face, as opposed to just some red splotchy stuff. So you know what? Bring it. If it's Grand Theft Hat now, I'm with it. I think it'll be absolutely brilliant. There's definitely Grand Twerk Auto is going to be a thing. I think there is a scene for that a little bit later on. But yeah, looking at the ray tracing here, the mottling there, I think they've really stepped it up with the Rage engine. I know there was a big jump between GTA 5 and RDR2. And with generative AI and the patterns we've seen coming through Rockstar, I think there's been another massive leap forward here. Again, whether or not it's kind of like Mirage, the Assassin's Creed Mirage, or Cyberpunk level graphics, I don't know. But honestly, I'll take a hit on the graphics for good storytelling. And I'll do that every day of the week. as long as they have good water textures. Speaking of good water textures, wow. Just wow, that looks spectacular. So we've got waves here, we've got the smooth part there, which would make sense if you've got water coming in off the side here, and this would create sort of a little barrier, which would create a mini rip going out that way, which is reflected by surface water. I don't know if anyone's a beach dweller, but I grew up on the beach, and like you wouldn't go swimming in there because out to sea, but that's exactly what you'd expect to see coming off the coast with this little sort of jutty bit out here. Just clean, really nice. Again, volumetric clouding in the back. We've got the plane up the front there, and it looks right. It looks like it's meant to be. Just, yeah, it just looks right. I know I'm banging on, but yeah. So this feels like a bit of a cutscene kind of caper with the toll gates there. Like the rendering just seems a bit too good to be true, but we'll see what happens. What is interesting here as well is there are extra bits and pieces around the left as well there. So you can see a couple of different lights on. I know that happens a bit in GTA 5 already, but it would be interesting to see, you know, whether there's any NPC activity given how dense the world appears to be from the rendering anyway. All right, so next scene. Okay, whoop, too far. My apologies. Right, okay. Now we get a proper look at some of the cars. So we have buskers and we have people putting about. Again, lots and lots of NPCs. Lots of NPCs. Good to see the cheetah in there. Big fan of that one. Like the Infernus too. That is, it's based on a Ferrari 464, I think, or 440. I can't remember the name of the actual unit. And the Fiesta, so the Porsche Carreras. Lots of different cars. That is the 57 Belair, I reckon. What's that one called in the game? Help me out, chat. I've gone blank on some of the car names. But rendering quite nicely. Good variety of cars. Interesting outfits. And again, ray tracing on some of these palms as well looks absolutely lovely. So if you can get in there and have a look, it's actually lighting on the palm trees themselves. So yeah, yep. So cheetah on the number plate there, but I don't know about the other ones. Might have to take some photos at 4K and sort of see what happens. I'm sure Wallaby can help us out with some enhancement there. And yeah, looking at some of the lighting here and the way that's coming through the tree. Yeah, I don't know. It looks good. I love it. It looks really nice. Thank you very much, Wonky. Always forget the grotties. That's yeah. So that's the Ferrari there. I'm pretty sure, isn't it? So, you are right. The declass tornado. Thank you, Sandy. So I wonder if we'll get a mariachi version or we'll get some other interesting versions like we did with the what was it, the Susan Sarandon movie with Brad Pitt in the early days when they're off the cliff. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure they'll have some interesting Easter eggs in there. All right, next scene. So nightclub. This I think is just going to be a club again, quite dense. But it is a small area, so they don't need to load a lot in with that, and it's not much different to the nightclub we're expected to see here, although there are some people up the back there liking the stage setting. So I wonder if each of the different DJs you'll be able to hire, assuming you can, have a different set, or whether that's part of the nightclub. So we'll see how we go. All right. On to the next one. Right, and then another outdoor scene. So again, really, really nice rendering of the water there. We can see the waterline and the shoreline where things dip off and there's a reef line. That initially, like at pants quality, looked like a truck in the water, which is probably not right. So I'm assuming that that is a tug and a small cargo boat. So what's that? 3 wide, 9, so 27 cargo containers. I can almost guarantee that we're going to have some rubbish slow mission where we have to load that crap up and take it across the water. It's just going to be a thing. But yeah, we'll see how we go. Music Locker, thank you very much, Kev. Nice work. But what I do like here is all these little assholes with spots, which I presume you'll be able to explore. Good roads, busted road there. That's going to be a stump jump. There'll be another stunt jump there as well. It's just looking nice. And I did note as well, this is that looks like a super yacht. That does look like one of the Galaxy class super yachts we have in GTA Online. So it makes sense if they bring that over, but it's nice to see anyway. And on top of the, yeah, this is quite a scene, this one. So aside from the actual models themselves, I did notice on this one the textures. So if we go back to the Horizon series, Zero Dawn Horizon, sorry, yeah, it was Zero Dawn Horizon, and its subsequent follow-ups, where Aloy's skin was absolutely brilliantly detailed. Like, just you could zoom right in and you could see every flaw, every pit, every bit of hair on her face and her ears, and it's incredible. And if you've got the hardware for it, fantastic. What I have noticed here though is while we have really neat hair, the skin is it's still textured, like we saw before with the fellow with the pitting on his face. It's a lot less textured than I would have expected given the development period. But that may be a hardware constraint. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But the actual meshes themselves are quite good. We are still doing off-brand stuff. It's clearly this is meant to be Yves Saint Laurent, but the Rockstar version of it. So they're not wanting to pay licensing fees, which is fair enough when you've got so many thousands of pieces of clothing and so many real cars in the game. But yeah, it's neat. We'll see what happens. I am a little concerned about some of the textures not being quite as flash as I would expect, but again, hardware constraints. It is good to see a variety of swim outfits and a variety of bodies in here. I know this is not a great example of it, but certainly on the beach before, it was quite good. Where was it? We saw a whole heap of different bodies on the beach. Bit of diversity there. Where is it? Nah, that's all right. It's gone. We'll find it later. Vice City Sound. All right. Now that is an absolute perler. Where is it? There we go. So this is, we've got Dad Bod Squad, which is just brilliant. But this shows us that Life Invader is a bit more dominant in the world of GTA 6. Square as well, interestingly, instead of the full 16 or 9x16. But yeah. I wonder how much more of a role social media is going to play on this. And Rockstar have been absolutely scathing with their social commentaries before. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do with Life Invader as a take on Facebook or TikTok or WeChat or X, if indeed X is still around by the time this gets released. So yeah, I think you might be right there with the CryEngine stuff, Sandy. So, all right. And the Gator. So, RDR2 had Gators in them. They seem to feature quite heavily in the the trailer here. So I suspect we're looking at a mini game where we go and rescue gators from people's pools for money. I wonder if we're going to end up seeing people get themselves into trouble at pool parties with gators as well. But stepping aside from the actual, what's going on here with the fella and his fishing pole, the cloud work, you can see storms rolling in here. Again, really, really nice use of depth of field. The bamboo looks absolutely bang on, and you can see individual leaves there. So it's not just a flat texture, but it looks like, proper volumetric plants. These little fan palms are fantastic as well, the way that they've been done. Used to have some of those. And what's interesting about these guys is in real life they have thorns on the fronds, not dissimilar to a rose. So it would be interesting to see if running into one of those does any kind of environmental damage, as in you lose hit points for walking into one of those things and being a bit silly. But yeah, all right, see what goes on. And yep, Grand Twerk Auto. So there's a lot going on in this scene, real quick. We have obviously someone filming, which should be interesting. We have the young lady on top of the car. We have someone hanging out the side of the car. And we've got someone here making a sign from the car as well. So putting aside the outfits and whatnot, which are cool, but that's kind of not what we're here for. Again, good depth of field here, but are these all actions we can perform, or are they pre-programmed NPCs? And that'll come back to whether this is a rendering or it's in-game, which I think we're all probably, given what this is, a little bit concerned about, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, moving forward. All right, now this I'm actually really looking forward to. So we've got the DLC dropping mid-December, probably about 2 weeks. And we have drift stuff coming in on the DLC, or at least that's what the newswire says. There's a new mode and new car options coming in at LS CarMeet. And we know that when something really neat has been developed in GTA 6, it's been translated back to GTA 5. And I guess one of the big notes for that is the finale of the Last Dose mission, where we have cutting open shipping containers for the first time as a new mechanic. But that only became available a couple of months after the leak for Jason cutting open shipping containers in the GTA 6 leaks that we saw a while before then. So my thought would be they come up with a cool feature in GTA 6, go, you know what, that's not going to be too challenging, drop it into GTA 5 or GTA Online. And I'm wondering if this is a scene of something that we might see in the next couple of weeks with the DLC, which is great for DLC stuff, but it also means that we might miss out on a new feature on GTA 6 because it'll be old news. But that said, this looks incredible. So the smoke here, again, volumetric smoke, which you can tell because we've got the lights pointing different ways. We've got some of the car in, some of the car out. We can see it all being generated here. The ray tracing is spectacular, especially when you look at, where the light sources are coming from here, and light sources are coming from a car down here as well, sort of throwing shadows back that way. But you're not seeing shadows around here, which makes sense because we've got light coming in from there, light coming in from there, and light coming in from here as well. So it would make sense that we're getting heavy shadows that way, where the light source is here, but where we've got multiple light sources, including presumably street lights here and stop lights, we're not seeing the shadows there. So that's ray traced as opposed to just being kind of rendered. It looks really neat. Lots of different lighting tones as well, which we get in the current game. And, you can see here we've got lower headlights, but the tail on this machine's a little bit high as well, so that means it's not throwing over the top, and that is just absolutely spot on. But on this side, where we have lights coming in that way and around the corner, it's reflecting back quite nicely and casting a big shadow out that way, so these guys aren't in nearly as much light. I'm really liking this. I'm really liking this, and I hope this isn't a cutscene. I hope this is part of an observation for a mission you've got to do. So more social media stuff. And again, putting aside what the models are doing, we are seeing some good use of depth of field here, but also the chat box, which is really neat. So there could be a mechanic there for interacting with people on stream, which would be fun. It'd take some AI, it'd take some doing, but yeah, that could be a little bit of fun. But it's also showing that Life Invader is going to show a bit more of a prominent appearance in GTA 6. So bear with me for a second. Gator again. Body cam footage, and then just Florida being Florida. That is fantastic. I'm just going to go back to this guy, not because of the G-string, but because of the hose there. No holding his hose jokes. But again, the water particle physics looks absolutely brilliant, and his visor, you can see through that, but there's still the reflections on it. So yeah, really neat. We're just about out of trailer now, I think. So Thrillbilly Mud Club. This really looks Far Cry-y to me. You've got the tint. I know this is meant to be like a Tough Mudders thing, but the tint kind of feels a bit, it feels like Hollywood in Mexico. And it looks absolutely brilliant. Again, the textures with people being so dirty. Yeah, I think you might be right there, Kevin, with TikTok. I wonder if there's going to be a rival to Life Invader, actually, whether there'll be a second one, or whether it's going to be an extension. Like, I don't know if how many of you would know WeChat, which is an app that's available in mainland China, which is kind of like the everything app. It's your social media. It's WhatsApp, X, PayPal, Facebook, Signal, and YouTube all kind of rolled into one Ultra app. And yeah, we'll see what happens there. Sorry, guys. No, that's all right. I'll get that later. So I wonder if we're going to see a rivalry there between Life Invader and another streaming app, or whether it's all just going to become kind of WeChat. There was in the leaks talk of a conspiracy theory, and I can't show it because I'll get, go to jail. But there was talks of a conspiracy theory about Jane Norris surviving the attack in GTA 6 and GTA 5. And if that's the case, then yeah, Life Invader could well have become the everything app. And I know they'll take the absolute piss out of Elon Musk, so we'll see what happens. But looking in the background, are they kids? Are they kids, or are they just a little bit far away and up to their waist in mud? Because the reason, as everyone I think in chat's noticed, that we don't have kids in GTA is the same reason you can't do damage to kids in Skyrim, you can't do damage to kids in Cyberpunk, is because hurting children is wrong. They're civilians. It's a horrible thing. Whether you believe it should be in video games or not is your call. But the general rule with Rockstar Games has been no kids. If you can't kill it, you can't have it in the game, and because you can't kill children in any of these games and still maintain a rating under R. They just have no kids in the game. So I'd be inclined to think that these people back here and these guys here aren't kids. They're adults that are just up to their knees in mud. But anyway, I got completely distracted. I'm sorry. Mud textures. So we have seen dirt textures and people getting muddy and the cars getting muddy on previous versions. But I'm really liking the mud textures on this. You can see there's a little bit of mud on his beer bottle there. There's mud all over him. You can still see textures through here. Young lass's bikini's quite clean, but everything else is very, very dirty. And we have mud on the camera. Now, are we in first-person view? Are we in third-person view? Is this a cutscene? Kind of feels cutscene-y, but we'll see what happens. Jacked cars again, which is always good, but that's no different to the Sand King or the Grangers at the moment. But it is good to see a whole bunch of stuff there. This looks like a really big quad, like inordinately large. Like it's not a Zamba, but yeah. But the other thing is the watermark here. This is clearly official footage from the Thrillbilly Mud Club, which I presume is a Tough Mudders or just a general sort of mud racing kind of thing. You know what? You're right there, Jittery. I've not played RDR2 a lot, but yeah. Indeed. Yeah, I think it's going to be a big thing in the next one. Certainly, they've got the physics right for this, and I had a lot of practice on RDR2. So, all right, next scene. Okay. Well, look who's back. I think this is Jason's mum. I have no reason to base that on other than the hair and the attitude, but it feels like Jason's mum. We've absolutely had Rockstar bring up less than pleasant parents in previous installations of the game. And I would be very surprised if one of the parents of one of our protagonists doesn't feature quite heavily somewhere along the lines. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Has anyone actually completed the full round of GTA 5 and gone to Trevor's place after the finale, if Trevor survived? Because we have his mum there, and that's, yeah, clearly Trevor has some solid unresolved mental health issues there, which his mother seems to be a big trigger of. So, yeah, we know Rockstar like tinkering with this stuff. We will see. So, let's have a look. That was hilarious. So, yeah, clearly having a kegger. Now, what's grabbed me with this one, apart from the fact that the guy did actually do a body slam onto a table, which is not generally a bright move, but we've got, again, lighting back there, some step lighting here. So this is an outdoor party, that's fine. But the liquid physics here, we've got beer spilling everywhere. We've got water particles sort of flying up. Some interesting outfits. And mud, again, kind of everywhere. So, oh man, I really hope this is in-game. It feels in-engine rendered, but yeah. And you're right, Wonky. Mrs. Phillips did not stick around after Trevor got a literal truck full of medication. Just lovely of her. So, I bet she would have stuck around if she realised that Trevor had $2.1 billion, though. We'll see. So, thumped into their cars and It cures emotions. So what's that? The American favorite disassociative. Angstapan. Right. Okay, so I would say we're going to see some interesting drug use in there, which would be funny. Yeah, that's definitely an upgrade from the Badonkadonk Wrestling League. So we'll see what happens. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. But yeah, looking at this scene, so we've got the fog going back again, volumetric fog and volumetric fading, which is a really neat way to reduce the amount of assets on screen. So that helps with performance. What is interesting here is this billboard. So a lot of the billboards in GTA 5 are just there for decoration and for satire, and that's cool. But there are quite a few, especially if you listen to the Talkback Radio, which refer to real in-world products and services. So given the success of Cyberpunk and lack of humanity there, and I am reaching, I understand I'm reaching, but the humanity meter that you have to manage in Cyberpunk, when you upgrade, I wonder if we're going to see a similar or a mechanic inspired by that in the next one when it comes to drug use. Whether we're talking methamphetamines or performance enhancing drugs, steroids, that kind of gear, which do feature quite heavily. And we've all seen what Brucey Kibbutz gets up to. Whether that's going to be a big thing here and whether that will have long-term effects on the protagonist. If you start taking the heavy-duty stuff earlier on, will Jason get bulked out like some male model and shit? But as a result, be absolutely like Trevor bonkers and suffer roid rage and all that kind of gear. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm hoping that that Angstapan features in there somewhere. It will be hilarious. And again, really good look at the texture models here. Where is it? There we go. So now this is quite interesting because before above the on the skyscraper, the models, the skin was really flat and while it was textured enough, it wasn't textured. Versus that fellow we saw at the start doing the handshake with all the pitting. So we're seeing here again a little bit of pitting. You've got the stubble, but the stubble looks like it's actually protruding from the face, given the shadows there. So, can we see real world reflections in that side mirror? Do you reckon? You know what? I reckon you probably could. I would be very surprised if you can't. To be honest, I mean you can see it in the current one now. Excuse me. So I'd be very surprised. It does make sense that road would be about right. I'd be very surprised if you can't. Hang on, let's see if we can pan around. Just going to go back a second or two. Okay, this guy doesn't have a rear view mirror in the center console there, which is a bit of a shame. But let's have a look there. So that's a truck. Yeah, it is. That's real world as we're panning. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, good catch, Sandy. That is really neat. So we're actually watching the world go by in that rear vision mirror. But yeah, sorry, getting back to it. So skin pitting and texturing there. Looks like he's caught a hit to the ear here. That's kind of bruised. And the crumpling on this is looking really good. So going back to the Insta models or the Life Invader models on top of the penthouse before, I wonder if that was a lot smoother than it needed to be, not because of my pantsed internet, but because it was a filter on the scene and she was doing the the modelling pose there on a Life Invader filter, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. But yeah, really good catch on that one, Sandy. Really good catch. That watch looks absolutely spectacular as well, and these shadows on his hand are absolutely correct, if that makes any sense. All right, moving across. But smoother texturing on Lucia. Much smoother texturing on Lucia than I would expect. So, is that a thing? Has Rockstar made the women in the game smoother than the men? Have they spent less time on the texturing in order to pretty them up for screenshots in the Rockstar editor? But there's definitely just not nearly as much texture in Lucia's face there as there was in Jason's, or at least I presume that's who they are. The hoop earrings are great. They work really well. But, yeah, I don't know about that. Excuse me. It just, yeah, skin's a lot smoother. So, g'day, Sol. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm going to have to go back and have a look a couple of times just to make sure I'm not full of crap. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Definitely a lot smoother here. The hair's really nice. Like there's proper movement there, and I think someone mentioned the Far Cry engine before, doing sort of volumetric hair that moved quite naturally. I'm liking. We've got the crumpled notes. You can see them moving about the place as well, so that's quite nice. And again, looking at this rear vision mirror real quick. Just going to go back half a second to see what's there. Yep, stuff's whizzing past at a zillion mile an hour. So we are, in fact, seeing what's happening in the rear vision mirror, And you know what? That's cool, Kevin. I'm a bit of an equal opportunity detailist. I mean, if that's the aesthetic they want to go for, it's their absolute right to do so. If you're going to put that much texture into making the skin of the men in the game gnarly, and pitted and flawed, everyone's skin's like that. No one's as perfect. But Lucia looks to me more like an Insta model than Jason does in the skin texture. It's kind of like a yeah, it kind of looks like there's a filter on her. So it's cool. I'm here for it. But if you're going to do one, do the other. And you know what? So I'm with you. I still don't own a PS5 yet. I'm going to have to get one for this because it'll be out on PlayStation before it'll be out on PC, sadly. Let's see how we go with the next scene. So this is news. Lots and lots of the barrels are always good fun. Looking at the reflections and the texture of fuel and water is kind of what I'm looking at here. There's some great cars. So we've got that's a tow truck confirmed, or at least a flatbed, but that looks like a tow truck. We're getting damage here though. Sorry guys. So looking at this barrier, we've got crumbled water barrels, which is fine. That's par for the course. We've got some cargo that's ejected, but what's really grabbing me here is the barrels. Is the damage on this fence. You can see here we've got the crush marks there. It's a bit warped all the way back to here, which is new. So that's environmental damage. Good to see Weasel News making an appearance again. They're still alive and well, and a parody of everything as always. But that really caught my eye. Having the crumple detail in there and the environmental damage. So that to me says the environmental damage is going to be more than just a simple bit of dirt or bullet marks as a texture on a thing. It's actually going to show crush damage, impact damage. potentially explosive damage as well outside of cutscenes. So that's really neat. Also, quite separately, that looks like the new Corvette. And that looks like a fuel cap. Or am I wrong? No, I'm wrong. That's an LSPD thing. Never mind me. I'm a twit. So what we are seeing, though, is if you have a look at the texturing here, watermarks and fuel marks on the road in very, very specific patterns. I presume that'll evaporate off as well, and we're seeing reflections around here. So again, it just speaks to the water textures, ray tracing, volumetric lighting, sort of the whole box and dice. So that's really neat. That's really neat. And all right, so we've got Sheriff's Office, some really interesting tats here. This kind of looks an awful lot like a newsfeed or reality TV kind of setting where you have someone talking direct to camera about what they did, what they're in for, like maybe the Vice City version of Cops, Real Housewives. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that one. I don't understand what that is saying because my Spanish is atrocious, but if anyone would like to translate, please feel free to drop it on in chat. But yes, Sandy, out before PlayStation on and PC. So it may be different this time around. They may do a synchronized drop like they did with like CD Projekt Red did with Cyberpunk. But previously, Rockstar have released on console first, so Xbox and PlayStation first, and then up to 3 months later, I think, with some of them, was the PC port. Now, tech has come a long way since then, but I don't know if Rockstar are going to stick with that schedule. They have with all previous releases. But given that everything is cross-platform now, the coding tools for running cross-platform is a lot better. Microsoft and Windows, Microsoft have cross-play on the Xbox S and X and Windows 10, Windows 11. So yeah, we might see a synchronized release. I'd really like to. I'd love to be able to get on day one on the PC, start recording, start doing mission tutorials. But whether or not we get to, I don't know. We'll see how we go. But yes, yeah, I think confession is something or other. I don't have my phone on me, so I don't have Google Translate. See how we go. All right, next thing. So, but anyway, yeah, this kind of looks like a TV show. Well, I mean, it's clearly a Megamundo News, but we'll see what happens with that one. There might be a whole quest line there. And sorry about the giant box and the mic noise, but let's see what's next. Okay, bikes. So trail bikes, quads, which we knew was in there anyway. Really diverse crowd of people sort of belting around on the bikes. This has got to be a country area. Geez, they can ride though. Yep. So yeah, a couple of different quads, a few different models of trail bike. Quite a few skilled quad riders here, to be honest. That young lass knows what she's doing. And lots of different helmets. Again, great use of volumetric lighting and clouds. So we've got the sun sort of coming in from this side. Looks like a storm's rolling in. Really good depth of field around the trees. And what I'm liking as well here is the power lines. You can see there's some ad hoc-y stuff. They're a little bit different. They're not quite perfect. The hang might be a little bit off. You get weird angles, all that kind of gear. So it's showing a bit more of an organic setup. But yeah, that's right. Dirt bike, dirt bags. Okay, so Now that's interesting. Are we going to see gang takeovers? Maybe not just criminal activity, but just being a menace, which would make sense. I mean, I don't know if anyone's been into GTA Online recently, but that's a war zone. People being menaces all over the place. They're not necessarily being malicious, just really annoying. So it could well be a thing. Being part of these little groups and little gangs running riot and doing silly things, whether they could be used as cover-ups for other crimes or getaways, like we see in maybe Too Fast, Too Furious, where we see that scene where people all sort of roll into a warehouse and roll out, so that Suki and Tez can help Brian and Roman get away. So, yeah, that could be a really interesting mechanic. I'm liking, again, this is clearly sunset, so the shadows are all absolutely spot on here, all the correct all the correct direction. Lots of different stuff going on here as well, and quite a dense region, or quite an NPC dense spot there as well, with, it's got to be 30 or 40 NPCs in there once you count the cars and all that kind of gear as well. But small area, so yeah, we'll see. I have concerns about performance on anything but the absolute bleeding edge machines. But that said, 4090s will be down to a reasonable rate by the time this comes out, so maybe they're justified in it. This feels like a cutscene. Now seasons and seasonal environment changes. That's a good one. The last time I saw that done well was Shenmue, actually, the original Shenmue, who mapped the weather for Japan for every single day in 1984, and then mapped that to game days in 1984, which is where Shenmue was set. So you could go back and look at the weather in Tokyo on March the 13th. In 1984, it would match March 13 in the game. Normally, like most Rockstar games I've seen, and I haven't played much RDR2, and I haven't played it for a long time, so I can't remember if there were seasons in that. But certainly, most other Rockstar games seem to have a sort of summer setting, or an autumn setting. But yeah, like especially if there's jail time involved and all that kind of gear, where you might get busted and have to spend some time in prison, which we saw Lucia in at the start of the movie. Yeah, like seasons could be a thing. That would be awesome. That would be amazing. I'm going to take that as canon now, Sandy. I'm taking it. That's going to be the thing. I really hope they put that in. That would be fantastic. Again, more Life Invader stuff, so lots of user tags here. So I suspect we're going to see a lot of social media on the place, which will be cool. We also have stickers on the backs of cars, so that's a new one. I mean, we see liveries on vehicles all the time, but that's the first time I've seen a clean build with a credit sticker for the shop that had that lifted. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, so this is robbing looks like a bodega. We've just got normal cola, the regular fizz stuff. We've got lots of booze on one side. So again, with the volumetric lighting, I know I'm banging on about it, but that looks like a fake camera, incidentally, but that just could be the artwork. But good volumetric lighting around here. It's just peeking over there, so the same kind of lens flare you'd expect to see in this kind of situation. Nice old CRT monitor there as well to show you that you're on TV. And notice little details like vents and whatnot, so I suspect we'll start seeing environmental interactions. Are you standing under a vent and you might see let's see his hair moving around or masks moving around. No one wants zero alcohol beer. But you're right. It is 2. Pisswasser 9. So none. Yeah, good catch, Jittery. Nice work. Oh no, I bet they don't sell much of that. But again, I'm seeing the cheese skin here is quite textured, and I know this might be a little bit hard to see on stream, but across here, this seems a lot more textured than Lucia's forehead. Arms, again, Lucia's look like they're a lot smoother. It looks almost like an Insta filter has been put on her, so I don't know. I'm a bit disappointed with that. We'll see. I'm liking the artwork. Don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing Rockstar's devs or the artists on this because it looks amazing so far. But that I'm gonna have to reserve judgment on a bit more, I think. And the Saber. So red Saber with the vinyl roof on this one. Love the tail lights on this. Yep. So beautifully laid out tracks. Now, I don't know if you saw this, but have a look at the leaves with this one as well. So that, I think, is new. So we've got all these static leaves and all this stuff on the ground. I'm liking the little 5-spokey sort of 70s wheels as well. But have a look at the leaves just across the screen there. That looks glorious. Again, I know I'm banging on about it, but volumetric fog and the tyre smoke and all that kind of gear is absolutely spot on. You reckon that's not a Saber? Ooh. Oh, could it be a tulip? Could it be a tulip? You know what, let's go have a look. Loving the muscle cars. Hey, GCA, have GCA reset. There we go. They've done themselves a little bit of a change up, so that's really neat. These guys have been revamping their site recently as well, which has been fantastic. So Saber. So that's the Saber Turbo Custom, and then we've got the Tulip. You reckon? Ooh, you might be right there, Wonky. So that's the Saber. Do we have any rear shots of it? We do not. It's going to be the tail lights that do it. Are there any community shots? Nothing from the back end. But you're right, the front end does look a lot more tulipy. See if we've got any community shots there. Okay. You're right, single lights. It's a tulip. 4 doors, single lights at the front. Yeah, well spotted, Wonky. Well spotted. Nice work, mate. Okay, so tulip, my apologies. But again, all under here, it's the smoke coming out of the tires, the cambering and the lean on the car as it's going around the corner as well looks absolutely brilliant. So for those of you who have not driven a 70s muscle car, they handle like a yacht. They're nice and floaty. They're a very pleasant place to be while you're going in a straight line. They are scary as heck when you're going around the corner, especially if you're going around the corner and you're not pointing the direction that you are traveling. So, g'day, Lifer. How we going, mate? Thanks for joining. So, and off it goes. And this, again, is a really, really good demonstration of those different skin textures here. So, mottling, pitting, frown lines, and perfection. No, they do not handle, they go straight, that is it. Just like all cars. My favourite car in the game is the Visaris because it's based on my real life, dream car. If we have a quick look here. Where is it? There we go. And it goes straight. That is all it does. That is all it does. It goes straight. It will turn, just not when you're going fast. But anyway, sorry, going back to it. Yeah, so he's got there's some texturing here. You're right, there is a scar in his eyebrow, probably it could be from a fight, or if a eyebrow ring got torn out, that would be about right. And mottling and pitting around here. But this area here, shoulders and around the collarbone and chest there is smooth. It's perfection. It's like there's a filter on it. Now, I'm here for the artwork. I am here for the artwork. I think it's amazing. But while, it's, you want... I just like consistency. I just like consistency. I've been playing fantasy games for years and years and years and years. And the inconsistency, and it's almost a meme now, the inconsistency between female armor and male armor. The clothing that you can get as a female or male character is quite different. Non-binary doesn't even come into it. But this is a really stark contrast between the two, and I think this is captured really well in this particular scene. Jason's scarred up. He's clearly got he's got some skin troubles he's had when he was a teenager. He's got that scar over his eyes. He's a couple of days worth of stubble there. And in other scenes we've seen mottled skin, textured skin on the men. But on all of the female characters, all of the women in the game, it's smooth. It's Instagram filter smooth. I just like that consistency there. If you're going to do one, do the other. I really think Horizon, or the Zero Dawn, or with Aloy, I think her skin textures in the second game were incredible because it was flawed. It was still attractive. It was still beautiful, but it was flawed. And in here, it's perfection. And that's cool. Like, don't get me wrong. That is cool. But do it on both. Do it on both. Do it on both or do it on neither. So, yeah, you're right. They may think that, you may be right there, Jittery. They may think that the audience requires perfection on all-female skin. And given their audience, I think, over the last 20 or 30 years, has largely been teenage and early 20s males, maybe they're right. Their team knows what they're doing. Everyone that I know railed against GTA Plus. Roaring success. They railed against no crossplay. Roaring success. The release of Definitive Edition. Utter shite on a stick. Still sold millions and millions of copies. Their marketing department, the guys that do the dark patterns, allegedly, their PR department and their research department, they know what they're doing. So you may well be right. I'm happy to be, I'm happy to be corrected. I'm happy to be wrong. I just, it's a personal opinion. If you're going to go detailed on everyone, not just one sex. If you're going to go filtered and pristine looking, everyone, not just one sex. But yeah, that's all right. And it will be interesting to see, because I've not seen anyone who's obviously non-binary. But we'll see. That was a heck of a move. That kicking the door in, loving it. Absolutely just railing through. So the question will be then, is this a move that we can do? We'll see what happens. But in, and then the new logo reveal. That's it, isn't it? Yep. Right, so there we have it. Really keen to hear what everyone thinks. I'm going to stop the stream in a few minutes because I've been talking for like way too long. And we do have a video of my first initial reaction going up fairly soon, which will be significantly less protracted. But yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm liking what I'm seeing. The artwork looks amazing. The renderings look amazing. Some of the mechanics I can glean from this, knowing that Rockstar don't put a frame out of place, look great. I am looking forward to seeing some real gameplay footage. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the game reviews and some of the first looks from the devs. It will be interesting to know what hardware they're doing the first looks on, whether they're on 4090 Supers, something by Razer, or one of the crazy AMD chips. I don't know, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm cautiously optimistic at anyone. Yeah, when the story is set, the twerk. Yeah, now that is an interesting one because the story that twerking's a relatively recent phenomenon. I want to say it sort of became a bit of a thing in the mid to 2020s, 2021s. So it's going to be fairly modern day. I could be wrong. I don't spend a lot of time on 4chan anymore, and Reddit, but I don't know when that became a phenomenon, but I would think 2018, 2020 would be a thing. But they have been developing since like 2016, 2017. So who knows? Who knows? I'll have a bit more of a look, and I would suggest there'll be some more analysis. Dark Viper is really good at finding this kind of stuff out. Because he knows the lore so well. Matto is brilliant at it. He'd be the man to watch for this kind of stuff. But yeah, anyway, sorry. I'll finish up in a few moments. I am cautiously optimistic about it, but as I said at the start of the run, I'm concerned that this, while it's an in-game render, is a render, not in-game footage. And they're 2 years out, so footage I would expect maybe still be a bit early for that. But I was burnt pretty hard by Cyberpunk. CD Projekt Red were a trusted developer, and all of the review footage, all of the review gameplay, all of the first look stuff was it was all fake. It was all fake. And they took people off the dev team and slowed development down so they could please the higher ups and release something instead of waiting for it to be done. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to ask everyone to spread the word on this one because it's super, super important, especially with Take-Two Interactive, because they own Rockstar and they own Zynga, which is a really predatory, allegedly, gaming company, allegedly. Is please, 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 let's avoid pre-purchasing. Regardless of the deals they offer, the first look stuff, the exclusive DLC, we've absolutely got to hold the line on pre-purchasing. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's me. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a genuine pleasure having you here and seeing everyone in chat. I don't stream often. And I love that on the rare occasions that I do get on, you guys are here to keep me company and listen to me talk crap for way, way too long. So yeah, please, let's continue the discussion in the comments below. I'll be around for about an hour. We've got another one going up a little bit later on today, and there'll be, I'm sure, analysis from all the usual suspects over the next couple of weeks. Over the coming little bit, we still have our business series, which we're working on, which will be a bit of a wrap-up on all of the different businesses in GTA Online, because looks like we've got another 2 years' worth. And yeah, kind of, we'll see where it goes from here. If this is well received, I'd love to do a little bit more streaming, internet willing, and time zone willing as well. But yeah, thank you very much for joining. I really, really appreciate it. We'll see you again soon. So yeah, stay safe, wash your hands. We'll see you in the next one.